I don't know what the weather's like for you guys, but up here in northern Missouri, it's awful cold. We had about a 23-degree wind chill this morning, so my dogs didn't stay outside very long. Just want to welcome everybody this morning. I'm really excited about getting to visit with our national president, Sunny Shaw, here in just a second. I do want to make sure to thank our sponsors, BGC Advantage, as well as Mahapsey, and also our vendors, Storm Strips and Ultimate IT Guys. If it wasn't for our sponsors and our vendors, this would not be possible. So we really do appreciate you guys, and be sure to check out the vendors in the section where you can go check out the vendors in this virtual reality of ours. So I want to introduce, for those of you who do not know Sunny Shaw, she is our national NARO president. And we caught her on the road this morning to work. So she's in her car. You might see a semi drive behind her. Don't worry about it. Welcome, Sunny, to Missouri, even if it's virtual.
Well, thank you, Patti. Thank you for having me, Missouri. I'm so glad to be here and seeing so many of your faces this morning. And I must say, give a shout out, first of all, to Carol. I did get an opportunity to see virtually your parade this last week for retirement, and that looked just wonderful. I'm sorry that I couldn't be a part of that parade for you. Yes, I am on the road this morning. Interestingly enough, yesterday was my last day of quarantine from COVID. Feeling much, much better. And so I was zooming off to work this morning. It's a 2-hour drive for me. And I got the alert of Missouri NARO, good morning. I remembered last night as I was preparing for today that I'm with you later in the day. But this morning I got the alert. I was like, oh my goodness, I better pull off the road. So I apologize for you seeing me sitting here on the side of the interstate. And I'm actually on an exit. So hopefully we won't have too many semis, but you might hear them. Good morning, Missouri NARO. I mean, it's a crazy time, isn't it? It's just
it is crazy, but I think it's fitting that you're on the highway like that. You are a woman on the go.
Yeah, it is crazy time. I'm just glad to be here. So good morning, everyone.
So I have some questions for you, Sunny, if you're ready. I would like for you to share your leadership story with our group.
Oh, goodness. I started, as many of you know, as a receptionist at a housing authority, front desk, front line. That first day walking in, I was hooked. I mean, we all know that there's something about housing. If you're in it for a long time, it grabs you by the heart and refuses to let you go. And that's how it was on that very first day walking in. Now, as time went by, I was allowed by a really wonderful mentor that I had to participate at the state and regional level. And on a whim, one time, she even took me to a national conference. It was in Atlanta, but it wasn't the Atlanta conference, obviously, in 2018. It was the Atlanta conference. I'm thinking it must have been like 12 or 13 years ago now. And I remember sitting back in that audience and thinking, wow, this group of people is amazing. They love each other. It's like a family reunion. And I just knew I wanted to be a part of that family. Granted, I never thought it was going to be as NARO president, but I just wanted to be a part of that family and to be able to do those high fives and those hugs and that chat and, all of the things that NARO really is that grabs our hearts. And so, I wanted to serve. I consider myself to be a good worker bee. That's really what I am above all else. You tell me what needs done and I will do my darndest to get it done. And so I found a home in NARO as a worker bee, and I served at a bunch of different levels: professional development, Housing America, Housing Education Task Force, nominating and elections. And it was about 3-4 years ago now when we were at President Ritchie's as he was coming in as senior VP. So it was Steve Merritt's leadership retreat. I had the opportunity to go to that retreat. And as I was getting on an elevator, Carl Ritchie said to me, Sonny, I think that you should consider running for NARO senior VP. And I was like, oh, you are crazy. that's just insanity to me. And so I spent the next couple of days totally avoiding him. I would see him coming down a hallway and I would dodge into the women's restroom, or I would be pushing the button for the elevator to close really quickly if I saw him coming. And finally I sat down and had a drink with him and talked with him about it. And I thought, well, I said, let me talk to my husband, because he and I are full partners in everything we do. And it was going to require a lot of time. And we came up with a plan to run for NARO Senior Vice President. And here I am leading an organization that I love with all of my heart. Patti, tell me though, with you, I'm curious. Tell me with you, how did you end up where you're at? You're a president too.
Yes, certainly not on the level that you are, but I moved back to my hometown of Kirksville, a single mom with 4 kids, and needed a job, and was connected through a friend to the then director of the Housing Authority, and I started as the resident services coordinator. That was 20 years ago. So I left for a while, took a break, and was hired back. I took a job that paid more, but we all know money's not everything. So I came back as the public housing coordinator, and kind of like you said, you find your niche, and it becomes a passion. And so I moved up as the programs director, and then about 6 years ago, when the executive director resigned, he recommended me as the interim director, and the board went with it and they kept me on. And so here I am 18 years later, still serving. I've met some wonderful people. I went to training. And to me, Missouri NARO was just that. It was training. My boss sent me to training. So I would go to these sessions, and I started hearing about awards and committees, and started wondering what that was all about. And so I saw a couple of women that looked pretty friendly, and I just walked up to them and I said, how do I find out about these awards and things? Their names were Anita and Carol, and they didn't just take me under their wing. They grabbed me by the shirt collar and said, come on. And so they both have helped me along the way. Carol has been a wonderful mentor. And so, yeah, that's kind of my leadership story. I think that leadership a lot is in our DNA. It's how we're made up, the way we grow up, our family life, things like that. My family calls me the family administrator, and that's only because they don't want to take responsibility for anything. But yeah, that's my story. And it's you have to have a passion to do the kind of work that we do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I'm glad you've stuck with it. That's amazing.
And likewise. So you choose to serve NARO, Missouri NARO. Where does that come from with you? I mean, you've touched on it a little bit, but I think servanthood is a little bit like leadership. It's in your DNA.
Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. What you said right there. I always think that my long-term goal is to be a servant leader. I mean, if I'm not in the act of service when I'm leading, then I'm not leading. It really is just about serving, my brothers and sisters out there that are either in need, or my family of NARO, or whatever capacity it may be. It is about service to my fellow humans, right? In an effort to just make the world a better place by doing my part. That's all I can do, is just my part to create a better opportunity for the families, especially in my community. And so that's where that spark really comes from, is from the opportunity to change lives. There's something that's incredibly fulfilling about, giving a key to an apartment to a single mom who someday may be an executive director. There's something incredibly fulfilling about having a new person start at your agency who really didn't know about housing before, and to see that spark catch. I tell all of my staff unabashedly that I expect you to have a long career in housing. We don't want to lose you. I want you here. But it's about mentoring and teaching and
Yes.
helping people to grow into their full potential. I believe all of us are actually made for more. And so it's about helping each one of us find our more. So it is servant leadership. And you're the one that said that. You just said that before I even started talking about it. And so that tells me that you're inspired by that same concept.
You know, when we were at the transitional meeting in, where were we guys? Baton Rouge or San Antonio? I don't remember now, but we were at the transitional meeting, and the Missouri group got together, and, you know, we were working on our goals and our plans and things. And this quote jumped out at me, and we adopted it as our motto. And it says, if serving is beneath you, leadership is above you. And it hit me. It just really struck me, and it did the rest of the group too. So
Wow.
told me we were all on the same page.
Yep. Yeah, that's powerful. Well done.
It is. It is. So things are so weird for us right now during the pandemic, and our jobs are stressful enough as it is, and you in your position, you have way more responsibilities certainly than I do. So what is the hardest part for you being the president during COVID-19?
It's really selfish. It's that I don't get to see everybody. Part of my energy fuels off of getting to see people and hug people and ask them how they're doing face to face. And so that's been the most difficult part, is having meetings like this where I don't get to walk out into the hallway with you or grab a cup of coffee with you and have that one-on-one chat.
Right.
Especially, like I said, I'm a hugger. I'm a hugger. Um, but the other part that's been really difficult is the really difficult decisions. There have been some really, really tough decisions that have had to been made, that have to do with, what's the right thing? What is the right thing in order to keep people safe? But at the same time, recognizing that I'm helping to oversee the administration of a really big business. And how do we make sure that business is successful enough to move into next year while making these difficult decisions? And Patty, it's the same for you. I mean, you have to think about those types of things as well. I mean, it's just, there's some tough decisions that have had to be made, and I like to think that we've pivoted well and that we've made the right decisions. And but I will tell you, you guys all better look out, because when we are able to see each other again face to face, and I may not even be president then, right? But y'all are going to get attacked in the hallways. I can tell you that, with this big old hug. So that's been the toughest part for me. What about for you?
I think it's the uncertainty. Like you said, making those decisions has really been tough, but it's, I'm a person of routine. And if I get out of my routine, I kind of short circuit a little bit. So not knowing if we're going to be able to have a conference, or if we're going to be able to provide training, or if we're going to have to do it this way, or that uncertainty is, I think, the toughest part of it. And it's exhausting. I just get tired.
Me too. Me too.
So talking about the future, and we're talking about the near future, and planning conferences and planning different things, trainings and things. What's your dream for the future of NARO?
Mm. My first dream is that we're able to be face to face again. I mean, that's critical. I think that that's part of the glue. I mean, we know that NARO, one of the things that I value NARO immensely for is the advocacy piece. So we can still do advocacy. We did that really well. We sent nearly 13,000 letters in August, which was huge. We can still do training. Training is huge for NARO. It's really important even for our members, because that's how we become better at what we do and serve our communities better. But it's the networking that concerns me. And I worry about our organization moving forward, as people aren't able to see each other face to face. If they're able to go, that when those dues come across the table, it's like, we haven't had conferences for a few years. What value does NARO have? And so that's been my big concern, is, making sure that people still know that NARO has value, that we're still working for you, we're still advocating for you. But my dream long term for NARO is that we are able to welcome into the fold new leaders, that we're able to bring them up in our organization, that they recognize the value and are committed to our organization. As we send off wonderful leaders and mentors, Carol, you come to mind right now, because, you know, it's really important that as we are ascending into leadership, that we're reaching our hand down and bringing someone with us, right? That we're bringing future leaders with us. And that's my dream, is that NARO actually continues stronger than ever with this new vibrant energy of new leaders who are excited to be here and, you know, take over for folks like me, so that it's just this really big, beautiful, strong organization. That's my dream really for NARO. And what do you think for Missouri NARO?
Well, when I came into my term as the president, one of the things just in talking with other members is not really knowing what NARO was all about. A lot of the new folks didn't know that NARO did so much advocacy. They, you know, it, like when I started, it was just, I was going to go to a training session, you know, that's what it was. So my goal, especially for the first year, this year, was to educate people. We have a lot of people that have retired, new people coming in, and I wanted to educate them about not just MONAHRO, but MONAHRO, Southwest NARO, and National NARO. And even in the times that we're in that we can't get together, having a virtual conference like that has actually given us an advantage to be able to bring you in, Adrian Todman. We had Tess yesterday. I think we have Georgie on the agenda for today. So when you guys couldn't have traveled, perhaps in a normal time, it's been a great opportunity to bring you guys in to help all the new people understand what NARO is really all about. So that's been my goal.
Yes, and you know, it's actually been interesting, because with the conferences being virtual, you know, we're considered a medium-sized agency, but we're really kind of small. We're smaller medium. And so we don't have a huge travel budget, but because the conferences are virtual now, any of my staff that want to attend can. Any of my team that want to attend can, and they have loved it. They've gotten so much out of it. So I kind of hope that we're able to strike a happy balance to where team members who aren't able to travel can still attend a conference, right? And still get that information. It's kind of an exciting opportunity, really.
It is. And I think a really important message too is that everything we do is member driven. You know, this isn't just a few of us putting together an agenda and providing training. This is everybody stepping up, getting on a committee to make this thing work. And that's really, really important. And that was one of the things I didn't understand in the beginning either. I just thought there were people being paid to put it together, and there are, but we're the ones that drive the direction where that goes. So
absolutely, absolutely, well said.
So we've talked a lot about leadership. What does that look like for you?
Yeah. You know, it starts obviously deep in your soul. So leadership for me each day starts with prayer, and it starts with asking that that I can be a positive influence for those around me, and that I can also be positively touched by those around me, because it goes both ways. Because just because you may be tasked to be the leader of, you know, an organization or of your agency, really I work with a dozen other leaders in my organization. They have impact each day to teach me, for me to learn something. So it's about never forgetting that I need to be learning also.
Right.
Never forgetting that, you know, that I have something to learn. I don't know it all. I don't. I just happen to be the one that is given this opportunity right now, but I need help. And so I seek out that help and that advice on the daily, every single day. So it starts seeking and asking for that help, with my prayer in the morning and closing at night. But in between, what happens during the day is really about the people that I interact with, what I can learn from them, and what I can do for them. So that's my day of leadership at every level, in my family, my agency, our organization, at every level.
That's awesome.
So What is leadership for you? What does your typical leadership day look like, feel like?
Um, I told Monaro the first time I spoke publicly as the president to this organization, I told him that any good leader is only as good as the people that they lead. And some of the best people I know are in this organization. So that's what it looks like to me. It's not about being a boss. It's about leading people who know what they do and know how to do it. They know their jobs. They also have that same kind of passion for what they do. And you have to encourage that.
Right.
So as a leader, you have to be as much of an encourager. And I find that just in my own office, you got to tell people, great idea, good job. So to me, that's what leadership looks like.
Absolutely. It's growing future leaders.
Speaking of, when we bring people up in our organization, state, on the regional level or the national level, what advice would you give to those thinking of serving?
Oh, I love that question. Dive in, don't dip your toe, dive in. There's ways that you start with your leadership. Obviously at the state level is first, and I'm sure that Patti and all of her team would love to hear from you. I mean, if you want to serve on committees or award juries, anything like that, start at your state level. From there, the good worker bees got pulled up to the regional level, and from there the national level. So there's kind of these steps that you take. The path that you follow is state, regional, national. It's how we keep them all strengthened and tied together. But one of the things that I also tell people is when you're growing your leadership skills, it's important to focus on NARO, but it doesn't have to just be NARO. How do you develop those skills? Some of the people I've spoken with have been from super small agencies, and so they've not had the opportunity to travel at all. And I'm telling them someday you're going to have that opportunity. So it's about preparing now. Prepare for those opportunities now. And there's things you can do in your community now to develop your leadership skills. There's lots of organizations that have boards in your communities. You've got community actions. You've got homeless agencies. You have a lot of agencies that have boards of commissioners, boards of directors. Get on a board. Learn how it feels to be a board member. Learn how it feels to read financials. Begin to develop your leadership in your community first. And then you can step up to state, region, national, because it's about preparing yourself for the opportunity when it arises. You don't want the opportunity to be given to you and you to not be prepared. So prepare yourself. That's my advice. Prepare yourself. What type of advice would you give, Patti?
I think the biggest thing for me, because it's something that I would struggle with, so I would encourage someone else to not be afraid to ask those questions. Find somebody that you respect and get a mentor. Find somebody that will take you in and guide you and call you out when you're being stupid. Find a mentor and ask those questions.
Yep, for sure. For sure.
Well, Sunny, this is awesome. I've really enjoyed talking with you.
Enjoyed it too.
I'm glad you're feeling better. Stay safe. Thanks for joining us. And I know that we're going to see you later on, right?
Yep, you are. And my husband is worried about me. I'm sure he's checked and seen that I'm sitting on the side of the road. So he's called in twice now. I will give him a quick call.
Okay, well, tell him thank you for loaning you to us for a few minutes.
I will do that. You all have a lovely, lovely day. Thank you so much.
Same to you, Sunny. Thanks for joining us.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.